What's up, collectors, and welcome to our second annual Films by Color Oscar Picks video. I've got my lovely wife, Grace, with me, who is much more into this whole Oscar scene than I am. I've only been doing this for a couple years now, watching through all the picks and watching the ceremony with you, but you've been doing this for a long time, long before we even met.
Oh yeah. Probably like 10 plus years at least. So this
you're
is my favorite time of year is
You're
award
big
season.
into this, and you're the reason that this video is even happening. You did so much work in preparation for this video, so thank you so much for that. All of the title cards that you're going to see on screen were designed by Grace, and she also designed and printed out all of the physical cards that we're going to be revealing our picks with. So thank you so much for all the work you did getting this video going. We're going to be going through most of the categories and giving our personal picks for what we think should win. Any predictions in this video are going to be coming from Grace because she follows that stuff a lot more than I do. I'm just going to be talking about my personal favorites. I'm not going to try to be objective at all, whatever that means when you're talking about art. I'm just going to talk about which films resonated with me personally the most, and you're going to be doing the same, I imagine. And we're not going to be doing every single category. We're going to do most of the big categories, but we're not going to get all of the technical categories in, but we're going to do most of them, and we're going to try to get through them as fast as we can. So let's go ahead and jump right into the categories. We'll go back and forth. I'll read the nominees for one. You can read the nominees for another one. We'll open our envelopes and hand out the Dundee Award to whichever one is our personal favorite. And I will say, this was an incredibly hard year for this.
It was hard.
Don't have a lot of the categories. I don't have a runaway favorite like I usually do. This is like a very good year for movies. I like most of all of the top 10
I do
nominees.
too. And it was an interesting year too because I do have like a clear favorite that's one that I will go back to the most. But in terms of like great cinema, like my God, there are so many good picks. Like every single one that's nominated, I feel like definitely deserves it. Yeah, except for maybe one, which we probably won't talk about. So,
and we've got our Carajillo drinks here that we'll be sipping from.
DJ is the king
the
at making some carajillo. So,
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and start with the first category. The first category is animated shorts. So you want to go ahead and start with this one?
All right. For animated short, the nominees are Our Uniform, Letter to a Pig, Pachyderm, 95 Senses, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko.
And before we jump into these, I will say we got to see all of these at a presentation at our local indie theater, the Terra Theater, and they showed all the shorts. And there was even some runner-ups at the end, which is really cool. I highly recommend.
Even the runner-ups.
It's probably too late to do it now after I get this video up, but I recommend going and watching those because they're really cool.
They have like a thing that you can pay for. It's called Shorts TV, and you can see all of them. Yeah.
It was great to see them on the big screen, though.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a cool experience. And the award goes to... Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Pachyderm.
Hey!
Oh, I picked the same one! I did not know that.
Interesting. So for me, it was between Pachyderm and 95 Senses.
That was actually, those were my two favorites
95 Senses
too.
was right there. I think what pushed it over the top was, because that's a beautiful one too.
It was.
And it also has like a nice twist in it. What pushed it over the top was, because it is also a beautiful story, and it's got, and it's like, as it unfolds slowly and you're kind of figuring out, and you don't even fully figure it out till like 5 minutes after the short, and you're like, oh, and it's like, it's super dark.
All of them this year were pretty dark, to be honest.
Got to warn you on those. Super dark. But what pushed it over the top was the animation style. I really, really like the animation style
looks like
of
Van
95
Gogh.
Senses too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like every single frame is like
It's like Van Gogh
painting.
brought to life. It's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, the story is just really beautiful. Like you said, like the way it unfolds, you're kind of like thinking, oh, is this what this is about? And then you keep discovering as it unfolds. And wow, it's deep. It's got layers.
I was like, am I a terrible person for thinking what this is about? And I was like, nope, it definitely is.
Definitely. But
it was,
But so the winner is probably actually going to be War is Over. It won.
I hope not.
Okay, don't say ugh.
No.
It was
That's the one out of all of these that was a little too schmaltzy for me. I don't think it was subtle enough.
It felt very Oscar baity, but it won at the Annies, and generally, if it wins at the Annies, it'll also win at the Oscars. So, I'd be
perfectly happy if any of the other 4 won besides
I would
that
too.
one.
I really loved Letters to a Pig.
There was
too.
no subtlety in that one.
I know we already talked about 95 Senses, which was my other top, but Letter to a Pig was also really great as well.
Really great, yeah. Like I said, all the other 4 are wonderful. Shall we move on to Best Animated Feature? Maybe. I didn't even want to talk about this category because
we didn't watch a lot.
We
of
didn't
these.
get a chance. They're really hard to get your hands on.
As parents too,
it's hard to get to the theater.
Yeah.
But the nominees are Elemental, The Boy and the Heron, Nimona, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Robot Dreams. We did not get a chance to see Robot Dreams or The Boy and the Heron, and I really wanted to see Boy and the Heron.
I did too.
Miyazaki's final film. That could be my favorite, but I didn't get a chance to see it, so I'm going to have to catch it eventually. But obviously, of the two we've seen, Spider-Man and Elemental, it's going to be Across the Spider-Verse. Really, really like this movie. This is standout. This is probably in my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, it's in my top 10.
We have a copy of it already. You got me this for my birthday. Thank you so much. Done a video on this already. This is a wonderful release, but I don't think we need to talk about this movie too much. I think everyone is familiar with Spider-Verse. It was a huge hit, made a ton of money, beautifully animated, and a really, really good story. I love the dual protagonist direction they went. Gwen is an amazing character, and love everything with that. I can't wait to see the third one. I know it's going to be like forever, like 5 more years probably till we finally see it. But yeah, love this movie. I wish I had seen Boy and the Heron so I could actually like choose my actual favorite, but that's all I got right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I'm gonna like The Boy and the Heron probably because I love Studio Ghibli films, but I just don't know if anything is gonna beat this animation style. Like every time I see the first or the second of this movie, I'm just absolutely blown away. Like I forget how beautiful it is every time I go back to it. It's amazing. It's different than anything else anybody's ever made, but it is actually slated to win based on the Annies, because the Annie is often the best predictor of that, and it won at the Annies. So even though The Boy and the Heron has been winning all of awards season,
I thought it was going to be Boy and the Heron for sure.
But this actually won at the Annies, so now it has it's a really big race.
Close race.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Hopefully we can get a chance to see Boy and the Heron before the actual ceremony, but we had to get this video out before that. So let's move on to live action shorts, which we also got to see all of. We saw all of these. You want to read the nominees?
All right, the nominees are The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. And the award goes to...
The Oscar goes to...
Night of Fortune.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked that one because that was my pick.
I know, I didn't know if you were going to pick it or not.
So if this wasn't a Wes Anderson movie, and if he didn't have a leg up because it's 45 minutes, like he kind of, it's not,
every other one is like 25 or less.
So it's kind of not fair, but that was my Night of Fortune was, and you'll talk about it in a second. So good and about a topic that I feel like we never talk about, but I'll let you talk about that one in a minute. But Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. I am a huge Wes Anderson fan, I just can't help but geeking out about his. It might be style over substance, but I don't care.
Don't care, yeah,
because it's Wes Anderson. And these specifically are fascinating. I highly recommend you watch not just this one, but all the other ones. They're very much like theater productions. The way they're shot and the way they're all like long one takes, and they actually like change the set behind, like literally theater productions. Not even like comparing to that. It's like they move the sets around, and the people are talking directly to the camera. So it's it's different. It might not work for you, but if it does,
if you like Wes Anderson, obviously,
yeah, it's very, it's weird and different, and that's why I like it. And this was his year, man. He did all these shorts, and he did Asteroid City, and he didn't get nominated for that. So I feel like I had to give it to my boy Wes. But Night of Fortune is incredible.
I was not. This is my first year I think I've ever watched all of the best live action shorts.
Yeah, I was not expecting it.
It just was so unexpected. It's about a man who's kind of grieving the loss of his widow and kind of trying to accept it. It's
all takes place in a morgue. Very interesting.
It's like the stage he's identifying the body basically. I thought it was going to be when it opened and we figured out what was going on. I was like, oh no, it's another depressing Oscar baity film. But it has like a lot of wit and it has a lot of heart, and like there's this great relationship that forms through like 25 minutes. Like,
and very funny.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
And weird
and
bizarre. Like that guy's kind of like a crazy
person.
Yeah, he's
kind of crazy, but
I loved it. And we should say Invincible's really, really good too.
It was really great too.
Lots of great.
That one's based on a true story.
All the animated and live action shorts this year were great. All those are available online for free except for Red, White, and Blue, which only costs $2. Yeah. So that's how we did it. We watched those at home, and we recommend you check them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, up next we've got Best Adapted Screenplay, and the nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Oof, talk about a hard category.
This was super tough. Both screenplay categories are really tough, but I gave my Oscar to
Poor Things.
Oh, Poor Things. Okay,
American Fiction.
I went with American Fiction. It's crazy, I know, because I love Poor Things so much.
I know. I really thought we were going to be matching on that one, but I love American Fiction as well.
I can't tell, and we're not qualified to do this. We're not writers. We're not filmmakers. We're just film watchers. So this is super subjective and super personal, but I feel like what I liked about American Fiction, I loved American Fiction. One
Was
of
the story.
top
yeah.
6, and I love the story and I love the dialogue and
Yeah.
all of the familial relationships in that were just beautiful. And I think that's what it was. I love Poor Things too, and obviously the story's really important in that, but I think it was also the atmosphere and the performances and the cinematography, all of the other stuff really hit hard with that one. But I think
It was very simple.
I got to give it to American Fiction. I wanted to get American Fiction on here because it just missed like my top 5 of the year, and I wanted to talk about it because I loved it so much, and really, really great film. And that's one that makes you think, and I feel like that's the point of the screenplay. So that is my choice. What's yours?
I mean, Poor Things was my choice, and I mean, I agree. I do think Poor Things has a lot of layers to it as well, but I do just love like the story and how it unfolds and how it's told, like very metaphorically. I just think it was really beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, I could have given it to that one too. They were all great choices. Do you know anything about what's potential to win that one? What's been sweeping?
And there's nothing really that's sweeping because WGA hasn't happened yet. Normally WGA happens before the Oscars, but with the strike, we don't have that this year, so it's hard to predict the winner of this. Most people are actually saying it's between Poor Things and American Fiction. So
look at us. Maybe we know what we're talking about after all.
Some people are saying possibly Barbie because they don't think Barbie's going to get anything else, so people might vote for it because they want it to get some recognition.
Okay.
But it's a very up in the air category right now.
Well, let's move on to the other screenplay award.
Best Original
Best
Screenplay.
Original. Why don't you read those?
And the nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, May December, Past Lives, and Maestro. And my Oscar goes to
This was tough, man.
Anatomy of a Fall.
Hey, look at us. It's like we're married or something. Anatomy of a Fall.
Ah, that movie.
Amazing movie.
So good.
Quick story, we popped that in fully intending to only watch like half of it.
Because it's like 2.5 hours, too.
It's long. You had to get to bed because you had to get up at 5:30 and go to the office the next morning. And we were like, we'll just watch half of this. Like 2 hours and 20 minutes in, we're like so into it.
You do not feel the length
We did not
at
go to
all.
sleep, and we just finished the whole thing. And I had a call with my friend Connor, who you guys know from the channel, and I was like, sorry, I got to push our call back to like 20 minutes because we got to finish this movie because it's so good. And it's so engrossing, and I feel like that's just the most personal movie for us of this year. Like it was so good.
I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was just expecting like a courtroom drama, like kind of murder mystery type thing. But it is like so much more than that.
It's so much more.
But it's like got like relationship layers and just like life in general. Like what does a life look like, and like how do you judge someone? And the way it's written too is what makes me love it so much, because the way that it unfolds and like what you find out about the characters as the story progresses. And that's why when it comes to screenplay, I was like, yes, this is the clear winner for me.
It was not that clear for me. I think it was actually between Anatomy of a Fall and May December.
Really?
I wanted to get May December on here.
It was great.
It's getting kind of snubbed. I feel like I love May December.
I hated that it got snubbed.
And it didn't get any acting awards. But Anatomy of a Fall is an incredible film, and we highly recommend you check it out. French film. Kind of. It's mostly in English, but there's some French.
And some German.
Yeah. She's amazing, by the way.
And the dog
Hopefully
actor.
We'll talk about her later. Dog's great. The kid is great. Stop talking about acting. We're going to get to there in a second. But I was going to say, it feels so realistic that we both thought it was based on a true story.
Yeah,
and it's not.
We totally did.
It's original screenplay.
I just assumed that it was completely based on a true story.
It's not at all. But the characters and humans are so well drawn that they feel like real people.
This was a really hard category because I also was considering Past Lives as well, which you did not love as much as I did. I think you enjoyed it, but like I think
it's great. It didn't resonate with me.
There's some dialogue and like the way the story unfolds in that movie. I just think it's done so masterfully that I also think it deserves some recognition. So I just wanted to bring it up as well.
I want to watch that one again. I need a second viewing on all of these. That's why I don't feel prepared, because I've seen pretty much all of them only once, except for Spider-Verse. So
that's the problem with this, because they all don't come to streaming, or they're not available to us, especially as parents who can't get to the theater until like a month before the Oscars. Yeah. So we're doing our cramming, and then we don't have a chance to watch it twice.
I would love to get a second viewing before then, but we just don't have time. So this is our first impressions, kind of. We've had some time to think about it, but this is what we've got so far. Next up, we're going right to a big one here. We've got Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, this was a really hard one.
So tough. I was back and forth. This was the last one I finally wrote down because I could not pick. So the nominees for Best Supporting Actor are Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie. That's amazing that he got nominated, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. And the Oscar goes to
Robert De Niro.
Oh, I'm so glad you did that.
I'm so glad you did that because those were the two that I really could not decide between.
Oh, right. So, yeah, this is tough because...
Obviously, the winner of this is going to be Robert Downey Jr., but let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. I do not think he deserves to win out of the other people in this category. I just don't. I'm sorry. I think there were too many strong performances. I don't understand why he's so like a sure win.
I don't care what actually wins. I'm just what I love about the Oscars is I love the recognition and attention that they give to movies that otherwise wouldn't be
exactly
as well known. So that's why I like them. I don't really care about who wins. I just care about the nominations. But the one that
I'm so glad you
surprised me the most, I'll say this, because I couldn't really decide. These are all great. It's really hard for me to pick. I don't know anything about acting. But the one that surprised me the most, because I feel like I have an idea of what Sterling K. Brown does. And he usually does similar things. He's good. He's versatile, but I feel like he at least similar things usually.
He's normally the likable dude. It was interesting. And not that he's not likable.
He's so likable in this, but I see what you mean. He was
hard to love. Like it's like tough love kind of situation.
It's very, very, if you haven't seen American Fiction, check it out. I also almost didn't pick him because he's not in it that much, but I feel like that's why I did pick him, because he's only in it a little bit, but he
makes such an impact.
steals the movie.
I know.
He doesn't steal it because Jeffrey Wright is great. Because Jeffrey Wright, I almost said Jeffrey Rush. Jeffrey Wright is amazing too, but Sterling Brown was so likable, so charming, and so frustrating because you like him so much that you want him to get his life together.
You know,
he's just the best, man, and it's just a whole nother different thing that I haven't seen him do before. So. Yeah. And that's why I picked him. But Robert De Niro was my second choice. He's incredible.
So good. And it's so unexpected. Like, obviously,
it's hard to pick him, though, because you hate him.
I know. Obviously, when you see Robert De Niro is nominated for an Oscar, you're like, well, duh. Like, of course he is. He was in a movie. But watching Killers, like, yes, the length was a little long for me. I'm not going to get super into the movie right now. But Robert De Niro's performance is so good because he's like, the way, again, I'm going to talk about how something unfolds, but his character, it's like presented to you as this uncle who's super caring and passionate and wants to do something for his nephew. And then you like slowly realize who his character is and what he's doing. And it's, he's so manipulative and kind of terrifying, but also like sweet at the same time. And it's,
yeah, you're right.
I think he just did an incredible job.
That could be a really hard thing to pull off.
Yeah.
Because usually you would just hate him and you want
to everyone else
get off the screen. I hate you. But
like everyone thought of him as sincere. No one saw who his true character was
at the end when he's in the prison. He's just so smug. He's so sure of himself.
God. So good.
He's great.
So good.
Good choice. And let's go right ahead to supporting actress. Go ahead and read those.
And the nominees are Emily Blunt from Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, America Ferrera, Barbie, Jodie Foster, Nyad, and Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers. And the Oscar goes to Divine Joy Randolph.
Oh,
Jodie Foster.
So happy that we're getting some diversity in here. Because mine is Jodie Foster, and that's such a weird choice. I know everyone's going to be like, what are you talking about?
She was so fantastic.
Her performance in this, and we just watched her in Silence of the Lambs very recently.
For the first time we had
we had ever seen that. And good grief, if she isn't just delightful in Nyad. She's so good, and her character arc and just the concept, thinking about a relationship that you can have with somebody, a mutual beneficial relationship where it's not fully benevolent, it's actually a little bit selfish, but that can still be good. Two people can get selfish needs from a relationship, and it can still be good, where she's getting something out of it, but she's also helping her. That was just something that I was thinking about after the movie for a long time.
And it's something I'd never thought about before.
Yeah.
And it was just really, I mean, their chemistry together too.
That friendship makes the whole movie. Like, that's the best thing about it, and that's what got us through it, and she's like just hilarious in the movie.
I was not wanting to watch that movie, and in the first 10 minutes I think I laughed more than any movie maybe besides Barbie this year.
Several times. You just said the same thing about Anatomy of a Fall. Like, you would go
not
in
expecting.
And we're like, I don't really want to watch this, and then it would completely win us over. And that one won us over so fast. Just their relationship, their chemistry, those two lead acting performances, or lead and supporting performances. She's basically a lead. Like, it's kind of like a dual protagonist thing.
It's true.
But I loved her so much. They're all great. Obviously, Divine is amazing.
Divine is obviously slated to win, and this is one of the few that I actually agree with. I think she was amazing. I loved The Holdovers so much. I loved like the combination of kind of walking through tragedy while also like adding some comedic spin to it. And I think her character particularly does such a good job of like being comedic, but also treading that line of like healing and grieving and going through a lot. I just thought, especially the kitchen scene.
So there you go, Divine. You win the Dundee.
It's all yours, honey.
Bushiest beaver.
No.
It's from The Office. It's a
You're
reference.
gonna get canceled.
It's a reference to The Office. All right, let's move along and get away from this category. Best costume design.
All right.
I don't know why we're talking about this, but you wanted to do this one.
Because I wanted to talk about
So it's the best costume design. And I guess it's my turn to do it. So we're going to talk about best costume design. The nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Napoleon. Napoleon, the only one on here we did not see.
We haven't seen.
We have not seen that. We did not hear great things about it, and a lot of our friends told us not to bother.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a 4-hour cut coming out, so we can maybe watch that version.
Yay! Okay, and my winner goes to.
It goes to.
This is hard for me. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh,
Poor
you did
Things.
it. I thought for sure you were going to go with Barbie. Yeah, it's Poor Things.
I
It's Poor
went
Things.
back and forth a lot.
I would want to live in this universe. It's
That's
so cool.
ultimately why I decided, because I wanted Bella's whole wardrobe. I was like,
You
can
wanted-
I please?
You said that in the
I looked
theater.
at him in the middle of it and I was like, I'm gonna be here for Halloween.
Yeah.
Because all of her outfits are just absolutely amazing. Like the shorts that she always is wearing with like these big blousey
And the
tops.
suits, all the guys
And the
are wearing.
sunglasses, like, just killed. And it's so, like, different. Like, it's not
Just
like
a different
it's-
world. Just transport you to a different place. That's what I need. I love, like, completely stylistic visions that you don't see anywhere else. And that's what I loved about Poor Things, or one of the many things I liked about Poor Things. I wish more things would be more stylized.
So inventive. Like, it was just,
So many of
props.
them are just our world, and that was just a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So loved it.
Yeah.
Loved everything about
Agreed.
the costume design in that.
Agreed.
There we go. All
The
right.
next one that I'm also making you do.
Yeah, we'll do this one right after because it's very similar.
It's same exact nominees, but it is Best Production Design. And the nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Napoleon. And
Again, disclaimer, we didn't see Napoleon, but
the Oscar goes to Barbie.
there you go. You got your Barbie.
I
in
had
there.
to.
I'm so glad you
And
did.
you can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but I erased. And I because I said Poor Things, and then I was like, nah, I got to be true to myself here. And I erased and put Barbie.
I'm so glad you did because I was between those two as well.
Yeah.
And but again, I just got to go for Poor Things, especially when you look at the behind the scenes and see that they shot. I don't know if this counts as production design or not, but the fact that they were actually on set for
Yeah.
all of those and like there was like background
that counts.
screens. I don't know if that's VFX or production design.
No,
It's
they
kind of
built
both.
the whole city of Lisbon.
I know, but they have like a
Lisbon-
screen behind them
Yeah.
with cloud, like all of the backgrounds are
but
like
like
there.
the actual city was made. Like Lisbon was made.
Crazy. So I had to go with Poor Things, but I love Carol Zeman, and good grief if that scene where they go through the different worlds doesn't look just like a Carol Zeman movie with all the paper cutouts and stuff. It's
I
incredible.
just
And Barbie.
want to live in Barbie land. Like everything about, I mean, I obviously was a girly girl.
Very similar movies, very similar
Yeah, I
production.
mean, they're basically the same movie. I
Yeah.
mean, not really. They're
different-
telling
for
very
different audiences.
similar stories for very different audiences.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all about humanity and appreciating it and all of its quirks. But I just adored Barbie Land. I was a big girly girl growing up, so I had the Barbie dream house and like seeing that come to life. And I just like...
That's
and
true. I love Barbie, but I have no nostalgia. for
yeah,
that
it's
stuff.
so much of it. And like you said, the transitions from Barbie Land to the real world, like I just think Greta had such a hand in that. Like she talked about all her influences in that. Carol Zeman was actually like one of the ones that she talked
the
about.
best.
And I think she nailed it. Like, and even Weird Barbie's Land with like her weird yeah. Okay, I don't need to talk about it anymore. You've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. It's amazing. It deserves it. But
All right, let's go in a completely different direction now with Best Original Song. The nominees are What Was I Made For from Barbie, Wazasi from Killers of the Flower Moon. No idea how to pronounce that because we looked for about 10 minutes and could not find any information on how to pronounce that on the internet. The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, and It Never Went Away from American Symphony. I'm very surprised with what I went with, but the Oscar goes to...
oh, interesting. Okay. What it was made for.
Hey!
I'm just kidding. Those were my two.
Okay, so I super surprised I did this because up until about 10 minutes before we started, I thought I was going to go with that one because that one it's a very touching scene in the movie and it really moves you. And even the instrumental of that is great. We've listened to the score.
It's part of the score, yeah.
And I like the way they weave that into the score. But this is just such a fun song to sing
so
along
fun.
with. Like
It's so
you
fun.
cannot listen to it without singing. Or I can't listen to it without singing along. We've blasted it a
I
couple
mean,
times.
it's probably my favorite scene in the movie. To be
Exactly.
honest
It's my
with
favorite
you.
scene in the movie. That's what I'm saying. It's just so fun. And we're big musical fans. And that's like the only outright like musical scene where people are actually like singing.
And it's inspired by Oklahoma, which I watched growing up. So
And I didn't know until you brought it to
Rain.
my attention that was all like a real set,
Yeah.
like a gigantic
it was just
room.
a giant soundstage.
Ah, so good. I just think it would
So
be
great.
great if it went to a comedy song because it never does, and it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I think it would be great. But obviously, that's a great song.
What it was made for. Yeah, I've now seen Barbie 5 times, and I cry every single time we get to that scene, so I can't not vote for it.
That's
it
good.
has to,
I'm
yeah.
glad we went either way because we got to talk
I'm
about
happy if either one of those wins. I will not be sad.
But we talked about the score a little bit, so let's go ahead and do that one. Best original score.
And the nominees are American Fiction, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Now, the Oscar goes to, I'll say it, but I thought about completely boycotting this one because I'm so frustrated that Spider-Verse didn't get nominated for this. Spider-Verse is a shoo-in.
It deserved it to me.
Spider-Verse is
I don't
my
know why.
favorite score of the year. I've listened to it countless times already, and it didn't even get nominated.
it's one of the
Indiana
weird-
Jones? You're going to give it to Indiana Jones? That movie was terrible. I don't know.
So this one has a lot of weird stipulations around it. I looked it up when Spider-Man didn't get nominated, and there's like a bunch of weird rules, and I think there must have
Indiana
been
Jones
something
is
in
also
there.
a sequel. It's also derivative. I don't
But it has to
understand.
be. It's like 80% of the music has to be fresh from
Spider-Verse
the
is
sequel.
fresh. He introduced like
don't
4
know.
more characters,
I
and
don't
Gwen
know.
has a whole suite, and 2099 has a whole suite. It's all new stuff. The only stuff that's old is Miles' stuff.
Anyway,
Don't get me heated. Don't.
So
I'm
our
hot.
Oscar goes to, or mine goes to.
So yeah, I gave it to Poor Things.
I gave it to Oppenheimer.
Oh really? You gave it to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Poor Things original score, man. This is freaking.
It's truly original.
This is like nothing I've ever heard before.
But I just don't think it's one of those that I could like
Bing,
put in my
bing,
earbuds
bing,
and just like
bing.
listen to while I would work.
Dun, 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 dun. Wait, no, I just turned into Hans Zimmer's Sherlock Holmes score. But the part where she's dancing.
No, I know what you mean. It's great.
Yeah, I loved it, and it's very weird, and it's one of those ones that works in the movie better than listening to. I don't know if I would just listen to it like in the car while I'm driving down the street, but maybe.
It is good.
Maybe
Like,
while I'm doing maybe I'm doing chores and I'm like shuffling
we
around the
listened
house.
to these in preparation, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed just listening to it. But I just feel like Oppenheimer is more like that classic score that you just like put in while you work.
Yeah,
and
Ludwig's
it's
great. I love
yeah.
Ludwig. He's the man. But Spider-Verse. Snub of the year for
was a
me.
snub.
Everyone's mad about Barbie. I'm mad about Spider-Verse. Let's bring it down. Let's go to cinematography.
All right, it's you.
Oh, it's me?
It's you.
All right, best cinematography, which was tough. I mean, these are all great.
They're
I'll go ahead and read the nominees. What am I doing? I'm already getting into it. El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Maestro. How did Maestro get in this list? All right. People are going to be like, what are you talking about?
I went with Oppenheimer.
I went with El Conde. Again, for the same reason.
I haven't seen that one, so.
Yeah, you didn't watch that one with me, but for the same reason as Poor Things giving it score, this was just the most unique. And I like unique, weird-looking movies. And this is so weird. It's completely in black and white. It's a weird, artsy movie. That's the perfect thing that I would like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll like it. I don't know. I don't think you will.
don't think I
But
can.
I watched this by myself downstairs in the theater, and it's just beautiful to look at, man. It's just every scene is like, it's like a photo shoot.
Yeah,
It's awesome. I loved it.
I trust you.
And I was so glad that it got nominated because it obviously didn't get anything else. But it kind of shocked me. I wasn't expecting much from it. I didn't even hear anything about it. No one was talking about it. But man, if I didn't like looking at this movie. Sorry, go ahead and talk about Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer was not my favorite movie, and
But you like how it looked.
I will probably get a lot of hate for that, but I thought it was really well made. Like
Give
no
it
one,
to her in the comments.
no-
Really let her have it.
like no one can contest with the fact that Oppenheimer is extremely well made and beautifully visual.
Right.
And
So it didn't work for you personally, but it's technically perfect.
Yes, yeah.
So cinematography falls under that.
exactly. So if I was going to give it any award, there you go. But we're getting into the really exciting ones now.
Oh yeah, we're getting down to the wire. We've just got the big four.
Yep.
Just the big four left. All right. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that remote. We're moving on to Best Actor.
And the nominees are Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo, Rustin, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction. Paul Giamatti.
Oh, Polly. We had to. I mean, I was actually, I say we had to. I was right on the fence between Jeffrey Wright and Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, it was hard
like
for
Jeffrey
me.
Wright.
Those
I
were my
wanted
two.
to give it to Jeffrey Wright so bad, but we did talk about American Fiction already a little bit, and we haven't talked about The Holdovers yet, except for you talked about it with Divine. But man, if Paul Giamatti, and this is like a career win for me.
Yeah.
He's always the best. I mean, Sideways, he's great. We just rewatched that recently. Barney's version, which I don't think you've seen, but I think he was nominated for that one too. He's always the bridesmaid. And I wish, I know he's not going to win this year, but I
No.
wish he would because he's always wonderful. But Jeffrey Wright is incredible also. And I wish I could give it to both of them.
Yeah, but it's going to Killian. I hate
Yeah,
to say it.
Killian's going to win it, but Paul Giamatti wins in our hearts.
Yeah, forever and always.
He's the best. I mean, he played Santa Claus. Let's move ahead to Best Actress. And the nominees are Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone, Killers, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. The Oscar goes to, if I can get it out of the envelope.
Emma Stone.
Oh, I'm glad we went the other way.
Anatomy of a
I
Fall.
wrote the title. It's
Sandra Hüller.
Sandra Hüller is incredible.
would love
Emma
that.
Stone is amazing too. Like, I don't even know. It's like, it just depends on the day. Just seeing a clip of Emma Stone at the SAG Awards, I was like, oh yeah, she's
so great.
amazing.
Like her delivery is so
But she's already won
good.
an Oscar.
I
I
know.
would love it to go
I
to
know.
Sandra.
It's going to go to Lily.
Oh yeah, that's right. Duh. It's going to go to Lily because
Yeah.
that's what SAG went with.
SAG, yeah. I think it's like 21 out of the 29
Okay, then I don't feel bad about picking
Yeah.
Sandra because Lily's actually going to win, and Emma Stone already has an Oscar. So Sandra Hüller, I wasn't even thinking about. I should have maybe given it to Lily,
She was
but
fantastic. too.
Sandra just like it's one of those movies where everyone is against her, and she is just like so broken.
So good.
So beautiful. I loved her in that. And I feel like I should give it to her because she's a 2 at the
Yeah,
of the-
Zone of Interest too.
of the top 10 of
And
the
I'd never
year.
seen her before. This is my first year watching her in anything, and she was just blew me away in both
She
of
was
them.
great in Zone of Interest too,
Yeah.
and she plays like the opposite side of the coin. She's
Yeah.
like terrible in that. I mean, she's human, she's believable,
Yeah.
but anyway, we won't talk about that yet. Maybe that'll come up later. But whew, she was great.
Yeah,
But Emma Stone, obviously.
so great. Just I love her character
Hilarious.
progression throughout the movie. She always nails the comedic timing. Like I just think her delivery is always impeccable in everything that she does.
And she's key to the movie working. Like her optimism, her like never-ending optimism, even as she finds out how messed up and cynical the world is. Like she's just amazing.
It's just like if you read that script, it could have gone very differently if there was a different actress in that position. And I think she just really nailed it and brought it to life. But also Lily was so amazing. Again, that was my first time seeing her in anything, and I think she was incredible as well. And I'm perfectly happy if she ends up winning. So
And Carey Mulligan, best part of Maestro,
and
Annette
Annette
Bening was
Bening,
great too.
so good. Like
Such a good category.
great category.
I mean, some people are mad about Margot, but it's a stacked category.
It is.
So
It was a
you can't
stacked
really
year.
even be upset about it.
And also, this is our last time talking about acting, so I just need to talk about the dog in Anatomy of a Fall. Because how did they get him to do that?
The kid in Anatomy of a Fall should have been nominated. They need a Best Young Actor
They need
category.
to do that, like
because
BAFTA does.
he was incredible. He's that scene with the kid is the highlight of the movie. Oh, and real quick, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about supporting actor. The reason supporting actor was so hard for me to choose was because the person that I want to win wasn't even nominated.
Yeah.
Charles Melton was my favorite supporting actor performance of the whole year. He is absolutely amazing in that movie. Incredible. And he didn't even get nominated.
It was one of the best lines of all time when they're on the roof and he goes, I can't tell if we're bonding or if I'm making terrible memories for you in real time. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, well, just the whole movie with him. He was
delivery,
so good. There wasn't a performance last year that resonated with me more than that one. Just
was great.
of actor or actress. Like, I loved him so much, and I wish he got
I can't wait
nominated.
to see him in
He
more
didn't.
stuff.
He was
Yeah.
robbed. He was robbed.
He was a little robbed.
Charles
Everybody
Melton.
in that movie was robbed a little bit. But again, stacked year. So
It's a tough year. Anyway, let's move on to Best Director. This is a big one. And another one that was really tough for me because I don't know what it takes to direct a movie. I don't actually know what I'm seeing on screen, that the director was a director choice or was a cinematographer choice or was an actor choice. I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what.
and I'm still a little pissed Greta wasn't nominated.
And you're upset about Greta not being nominated, but like, yeah,
How do you nominate screenplay and best picture and not nominate the director that made the movie?
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
And the nominees for Best Director are Justine Triet, Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Jonathan Glazer. Our Oscar goes to...
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh, you went with old Yorgi. I went
did.
with a curveball. I went with Jonathan
I love that one, though.
Glazer because we haven't talked about that movie at all yet tonight, and it was a great movie. And I feel like that's the one where, well, not the one. Obviously, the most recognizable directing is Christopher Nolan. Obviously, Yorgos Lanthimos 2, it feels like a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. But this one, I feel like it was just such an experimental, interesting movie. And he made a lot of just unusual choices. Like I said with some other choices, this was just the most original and unusual. And we weren't expecting much from it. Just very unique and very original. And I liked what he did with it. So I got to give it to Jonathan, even though it maybe doesn't make sense with the other picks I picked so far. But I don't care about that because I want to talk about what I want to talk about. Go ahead.
I get that. I'm kind of the same way. I haven't seen any other Yorgos Lanthimos movies, so this was my first experience with him.
True,
and similar to what you were saying with Zone of Interest, like I just felt like it was so different from anything I had ever seen, even though he's might have done that in the past with his previous movies. I had never seen it. And I thought he just like brought a whole new world to life and like really obviously got great performances from all of his actors. Like Mark Ruffalo, who you don't even normally love that much, but like he got such an amazing performance from Mark Ruffalo. And obviously Willem Dafoe had an amazing performance. So I think he just did a really incredible job directing all of those actors and bringing that story to life. So I had to give a little bit of a nod to Yorgos.
Yeah, there you go. We got to watch more of his movies. That was our first,
I do want to try.
That was our first for both of us. And this is it. Here we are. Best Picture of the Year goes to.
And the nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Oppenheimer, American Fiction, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, Past Lives, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Barbie, and Maestro.
10 great movies. Look at that.
Such a good year.
Maestro, we probably would have replaced Maestro with May December.
Yeah.
But.
Or Saltburn.
You love Saltburn. I didn't see that one, but she loves Saltburn. I love May December. I wish that got on there. But anyway, the Oscar goes to. Let's see what we got.
I had to be true to myself here. It was hard.
Yeah, this was the hardest one by far.
Barbie.
Barbie!
It's not focusing.
Mine
Barbie.
is Anatomy of a Poor Holdover.
What? Anatomy of a what holdover?
Anatomy of a Poor Holdover. I could not decide. I couldn't pick. I was between Anatomy of a Fall, Poor Things, and Holdover. And I love all of them equally for different reasons.
Those four are my top of the year, so there you go.
Yeah, these three plus Society of the Snow.
God, so good.
We didn't even get to talk about Society of the Snow because we didn't
talk about
we didn't do international feature because we didn't see the other three.
We had only seen Zone of Interest. And
we only saw
Society
Zone of Interest and Society, but Society of the Snow is my number 4 of the year.
It's good.
So good. I'm so glad. I'm so sad we didn't even get to talk about it. But besides Society, these three are my favorite of the year, and I like them equally for different reasons. I cannot choose. I tried. I was agonizing about this all day today.
It was a really hard pick for me.
I was sweating. I know you did most of the preparation for this, but it would look like I did most of the work because I was sweating and struggling so hard to decide between these three. So Anatomy of a Poor Holdover is going to be my choice.
I like it.
Those three. Poor Things just hit me in a very specific place just because of the stage of life I'm in right now. And just, I'm a sucker for sci-fi and fantasy. And that one ticked all those boxes. Anatomy of a Fall was just the most personal film for me this year. And Holdovers is just such a cozy movie. Just like such a curl up by a fire and watch that movie. And I think that's going to be the most rewatchable. I could see that one becoming my favorite over time. But like I said, I've only seen all three of these once and I can't pick, man. I tried so hard. I cheated. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You actually made a decision.
It was a hard decision for me too, because I was actually between Anatomy of a Fall and Poor Things were my kind of others that I was going between. But ultimately, how I judge a movie, like when I give a movie 5 stars, like it can't be a 5-star watch for me unless I know that I'm going to go back to it time and time again.
So rewatchability is
rewatchability is huge for me. And obviously, I already mentioned I've watched it 5 times already, and like I would go and watch it again right now. Like it never gets old. The jokes hit every single time. I cry every single time. It has that emotional impact on me. Obviously, as a woman, I'm very aligned with how it makes you feel and what it's trying to say and everything that Greta was doing with it. And I think it's just a beautiful film that's packaged in a way to go to the masses. And I just absolutely adore it. And so if I'm true to myself, there was no other pick besides Barbie. So I'm glad you loved it so much.
Yeah. Comedies are hard for me to revisit. That's, I don't know, just a genre.
It usually is hard for me, but for some reason, this one is just...
Yeah, but the first time in the theater watching that with you, I had the best time ever. Society of the Snow, please watch that if you haven't. Not rewatchability, maybe not a factor there. I don't think I'll ever watch that again, but it got me so hard. That's the first time I've ever had like physical pangs in my stomach and like heartburn from a movie. That's the first time that's ever happened to me.
It happens quite frequently to me.
There's such a good little bit in there about like faith and creating meaning. It was great. Such a good movie. And please, if you're going to watch it, it's on Netflix. Watch it. Watch the subtitled version.
Don't watch the dub.
Netflix is defaulting it to the dub version, which is asinine. I can't imagine watching such a personal, tragic movie with people in a booth screaming the lines. Like, that's ridiculous. You got to have the actual actors who are like on set doing that. Anyway.
Also, I will never fly a airline that is not brightly colored anymore. Ever.
Yeah, Society of Snow is great.
Spirit Airlines.
Any of the movies we talked about this evening, we highly recommend. It's a great year for movies. Thank you so much for getting me into this, because I watched a lot of movies that I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise, and it's been a great year. And there's a bunch of other movies that didn't get nominated. People have been leaving comments on my videos. Thank you guys so much for the recommendations. There's a lot of movies that people recommended that aren't on this list. So those are our picks for this year's Oscars. We'll be tuning in this coming Sunday to the ceremony to see how much the Academy disagrees with us. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed us talking about those movies a little bit. Please leave us a comment and let us know what your favorites are. Anything. You can go through all the categories and tell us your favorite. We read all the comments, and we love hearing your perspectives. So thank you so much for that. Until next time, keep collecting, and we'll be back with another video real soon.